Welcome to another episode of Astral Auto Repairs. Can you dig it? Okay, today's part 2. We got a 2000 Nissan Maxima. It had a P0505. We diagnosed it on part 1. Today what we're going to do is we're going to replace it. The customer went to, where did he go? AutoZone. Went to AutoZone, picked up one. It's like $200 for this thing. It's very expensive. To replace this, we got to take off the throttle body. So I'm going to set the camera up. We're going to take off the air cleaner and get this throttle body off of there. Now, idle air control valves are controlled. You see these little tubes right here? The antifreeze runs through. So as the antifreeze heats up, that's flowing through here, the valve closes off the air, let the idle come down. If it senses that the antifreeze is cold, it's just the opposite. It brings it up. All right, let's get the camera. Let's check that out. Let's take it apart. Get it going. Okay, here we go. Let's push the tabs down on this connector.
Okay.
Disconnect the mass airflow. We got a 10 millimeter right here and the sensor over here. Unbolt it. Put the bolt back in it. Swing that to the side. Now you got 4 10 millimeter bolts up here. Let's get those 4 out of there. Flat screwdriver, the clamp at the mass airflow. Loosen that clamp up. Make sure it's pretty loose. And let's pick this air cleaner up out of here. So I just dropped the bushing, this little grommet right here. Make sure you keep that on. Let's keep that on to the mass airflow just like that. Okay, now we're going to the second half of the air cleaner. Let's pop these little clips off. Get the throttle cable and the cruise control cable out of the way. Got 3 hoses right here. Squeeze the clips in. And 1 little hose. Might have to get a pair of pliers or something. Squeeze that one in. Be right back. Let's get that taken care of. Okay, squeeze this together. Okay, flat screwdriver. Let's take the clamp off at the throttle body. Loosen that up. Get that off. Okay, there we go. Let's try to set this camera up to the side so you can see the throttle body. Okay, we're at the throttle body now. Okay, let's open the throttle up fully. Get these clips, cables out of there. Okay, got that out of the way. Flat screwdriver, what we're going to do is take the green glue clips, just push them in until they snap into place. And you'll be able to pull off the connector. This one getting kind of stubborn. Let's try this one. Yeah, these are giving me a hard time. They must not have been off in a long time. 1, 2. All right. Now, we got 2 hoses up under here. The antifreeze runs through. So you want to get yourself a bucket. Put a bucket up under there because we'll lose a little bit of antifreeze. So let's go get that bucket under there. Okay, we got them out of there. Got the bucket up under there. Got 4 12mm bolts.
Yeah, he's still out on his appointment. He did tell me he had to go back today.
Let's get those bolts
What I can do is I can give him a call and see.
out of there.
They probably do, I always get about 3. I'm not sure what time that's
Okay, we'll take them bolts out.
or if you tell me how much time you need, then I'll make sure he's there after that.
Set them to the side.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, now basically, we got this throttle body almost out. What we want to do now, make sure everything's out of the way. Now, one thing what's holding us on now is the 2 hoses. So the hose up there on the, we're going to do is squeeze this clamp together. You know, like I know, these are the worstest clamps. Now you want to try not to put a hole in this hose as you're taking this loose. So you might want to get you a pair of pliers that's made for hoses. We'll be right back. Okay. Whoops. Make sure. Yeah. Okay. Good. This is what you call the hose pliers. So take them, twist it, break it loose. Then you just take it and it starts coming off with no problem. Remember to have your bucket up under there. Now we got one down at the bottom. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so now we got that hose off. Now we got one more at the bottom. Let's locate that hose. There it is, right there. You can see the tip of my finger in. Let's see if we get a better look at it right there. We're going to disconnect it right there. So let's get that disconnected. When we come back, we're going to have that off. Okay. Got that hose off. Let's pick this up a little bit. Let's unplug the idle air control valve. Gasket back here. So there's a little gasket in place. There we go. Okay, there we have it. Okay, let's go over there and get this thing changed. Okay, here we got the new one. And we got the old ones that's got to come off. You want to get yourself a good screwdriver. If you got 4 screws, Phillips screws or flat, I like to use the Phillips. You want to try to break those loose first before you try it. You see I'm putting pressure on this because those screws will strip out. Looks like we got 5 screws holding this thing on. Okay. Got to see if you can see it good. I can get this. Okay. All right, we got the 5 screws. Let's get those screws out of there now. Pay attention to the screws to make sure none of them are longer than the other. Set this up exactly how it's coming out, just like that. Okay, the 4 outside screws are exactly the same length. And this one looks like it might be longer. Yep. Okay, so let's pop that off. There we go, we got that off. Okay. We got the new bag here, new parts. They even gave us new screws. Got a new gasket in there. So let's get us something to get that gasket, that old gasket out of there. You don't want this to leak. That gasket's really messed up. Okay. Make sure the passages are cleaned out. Let's get that new gasket. Set it up like that, makes it easier to install it. There, gasket set right into place. Slowly set the valve right on top. Now while you're holding it there, let's get those new screws started. Okay, now what we're gonna do is, we got them started, but we're gonna make sure, pick it up a little bit, make sure that gasket's still in place. And once it is, let's get the rest of those screws in there. Now the last screw in the bag, you gotta put on the washers. Put on the lock washer first, then the flat washer, and get that started. I don't seem to be having a little bit of problem starting here. Now let's just go with the lock washer. Still having a problem. So make sure these are the same length. Looks like the older screw is a little bit longer, so I go with the old screw. So you get stuff from AutoZone. Cheap mess. All right, let's get these screws tightened up. I'm going to tighten them all down evenly. Once you get them tightened down evenly, then we're going to go back and really push down some pressure on them. Okay, now before we install the throttle body, want to see all that stuff caked up in there. Let's get a screwdriver and let's just go around that, clean that up. Okay, next, see we got this bottom hose right here, so we're going to get that clamp off there and try to position that hose onto the new one exactly like we got it on this one. About there. Just get that clamp hooked up back on it. Okay, we're ready to go back on. Alright, before we get that, just took out this little plate right here, the gasket. Let's pop that little metal gasket off. Wipe this off real good. Okay. Turn the throttle body over. We'll make sure no air leaks get inside here. Okay. Got a new gasket. And if you notice, these gaskets are cut out, they only fit on one way. So, it's about right there. Make sure it fits only one way. Yep, only fits on one way. That bottom part goes into the throttle body first. So it's going to go in just like that. We're just going to leave that out just like that. Let's go set this in and let's get this thing back together. Okay, back. Let's get this plate into there. Okay, everything lining up. Now, before we put the gasket in there, let's get this throttle body set down in there. Slide the gasket between there. Get one bolt. Start off. Once you get that first bolt in, that's them pretty much will line up. And while we down here, I'm gonna plug this idle air control valve up right now, make it easy for us. All right, now let's get that fourth bolt in. Okay, get your 12. Just bring those in by hand. Snug them right up there. Now let's tighten those up. Same really, don't go crazy with tightening them up. Just hand tight. Once you get them all tightened up, just go around, just make sure all good. Make sure there's no binding, make sure the throttle opens up, just like that. Alright, next, let's get them hoses connected. So get them hoses connected, we'll be right back. Okay, got the hoses hooked up. Easy way of doing this is use some needle nose vice grips, these little bitty ones. Put the clip in there. Let's see, can you see over here? I'll show you an example. Just take it, squeeze it, lock it in place. That way you can move it around. You know, it makes it a lot easier to hook them up. Okay, we got them connected. Let's connect the TPS. That's in. Let's get this hose over here pushed in. There's nothing going on right here. Okay, next let's get these cables hooked up. One hand you gotta open up the throttle to get them lined up in there. Okay, everything's hooked up. Next step is go over the reversal. Let's get the first part of the air cleaner, hook it up, hook up the hoses, then the second part. So when we come back, we're gonna be ready to start this up. Be right back. Okay, let's set this camera up. Let's go start this up. Make sure everything's connected, especially your mass airflow. Make sure that's connected. All your hoses is important for the hoses. On the air tube, make sure there's no cracks in it or breaks, because that'll cause this thing to run bad. Okay, let's start it up. As before we start the vehicle up, it was shut right off. Let's try it out. Okay, idles and picked right up. The coolant is cold, so it's got a high idle. We're going to let the vehicle warm up, let the idle come down. When we come back, we're going to shut it off and start it back up. Be right back. Okay, as you can hear it, got a little, maybe a little power steering leak. Power steering pump is going. Check the fluid. The fluid is good. All right, let's see what we got here. That idle's pretty good. It's at about 8. So let's hit the gas. Alright, let's shut it off. Start it back up. Perfect. Let's put it in gear. That might not be the power steering pump making noise up there, because it should have changed the pitch of that noise. So we gotta diagnose that one day, see what's going on with that. But as far as the idle, this is done. It won't even shut off no more. All right, let's set the camera up and close out the video. Okay, it looks like that noise is coming from down there. Looks like either the idle pulley or the AC compressor clutch pulley. All right, that doesn't mean that the AC compressor is no good. Just means that the pulley or the bearings is no good. Alright, car's idling great, everything is fine. This is Timmy from Astro Auto Repairs. We can repair it, nobody can. Take care.